Jay here for Scotty and Motty. I almost said for Stretford Paddock there. That's why I took a little pause. Forgot where I was. I had one of the moments again where I was like, right, what podcast am I on? Where am I? I'm in the podcast studio for Stretford Paddock, but this isn't Stretford Paddock.
No, it's not.
This is Scotty and Motty.
It is.
You're Scotty, I'm Motty. Get involved in the comments and the chat. We're going to be talking a little bit about Manchester City. Are they in the mud? Are we being a bit...
Fair play, we should talk about them today.
Nice, I like that. Nicely done. Also, you want to talk about Prince?
I thought it'd be a really interesting topic about popping your cherry because...
I'm impressed with your knowledge around this because you're not someone I always think of as like into like the gossip and stuff.
No.
Do you know what I mean? That's not
no.
you. And you've done well here.
So I've been staying with my parents for a while and for some reason my dad likes to watch GB News. Don't hate him. I'll do. And there was a article on there, or a piece about Prince Harry lasting a marathon 5 minutes. And
really?
Being trolled for his first time when he lost his virginity.
First time he lasted 5 minutes?
I thought that was like...
5 minutes?
That's like a gladiator, that.
Yeah, first time as well. Like, and he's getting trolled for it.
Yeah, apparently he's being pathetic and stuff like that.
Pathetic. People hate Harry, don't they?
Yeah.
Do you know what? I don't like the royal family as an institution. I think it's ridiculous. But I kind of back Prince Harry because... everyone hates him.
He's the underdog, isn't he?
Yeah, the people that hate him make me like him and Meghan Markle. That makes me sort of stick up for him a bit, especially her, because I think she gets a lot of grief for nothing, basically. And it's like,
it's not that
deep.
It just shows the sort of low, but like, why is that like any sort of stick to beat someone with?
I can't get over the fact your dad watches GB News with you now. Like, does that cause conflict? Because you're like the opposite of that, aren't you, really?
Does it cause conflict? Almost about.
Can't imagine you sitting down going, move over, Dad, let's watch this with you.
It causes as much conflict as him charging me to have a bath.
Listen, I'm with you, Dad, on this one. I'm not going to lie.
How many baths do you have a week?
Me, I don't have baths.
Showers?
No, I don't have anything.
No.
Let's go out when it's raining and that. No, I have showers. My daughters, my eldest loves a bath.
Do you prefer a bath or a shower, though?
A shower, me.
Yeah, I like a bath, me.
Now and again I'll have a bath, but very rarely. I just like a shower.
He was like, I'd had 2 baths in the space of 2 days, and he's like, how many times do you need to wash a week? I've not seen him in the bath.
So what's the sort of the rate that he charges you?
Well, I checked it out, 90p, and I give him 10p extra, so it's a quid a bath.
Well, how does he do that? Does he have like a charge sheet at the end of the week?
Well, he goes, no, his question to me was, do you know how much it costs to run a bath? I said, right, well, I'll ask Google. Google said it's about 90p to run a bath, so I chuck him a bin lid every time I had a bath.
I think that's decent, the cost of living. £1 for a bath.
It's not bad.
Oh, you're laughing there.
So between that GB News, leaving cupboard doors open is like completely...
Oh, yeah. My dad used to
Never move back to your parents.
No, I did it. And I remember my dad used to walk in the kitchen and he'd look around the kitchen and he'd go, I don't know, Saddam's bunker.
I never want to get to that age, though, do you know?
Or he'd be like... I remember when our kid was there as well, them used to argue. Like, who's left this here? Who's left this cup here? Oh, CSI, let's find out. And it's just like... But I find myself a little bit with the kids around in my house, where you're like, what's this? Cups of milk are my bugbear.
But you're talking to a kid, he's talking to an adult.
Yeah, that's true.
Like a kid.
Well, that's worse, though, in some ways.
Yes, it's a lot worse.
Because, like, listen, me and Mrs. are on different pages here. I love my kids, right, I do. But there's a part of me that's thinking, you know what? In... 12 and a half years when the last one's moved out, hopefully. I'm looking forward to that in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like, my house is my own and they can just chill a little bit and it's like, you know, they'll still be invited around. I don't want to get rid of them forever, but, you know, when they're all 18, they can all move out. And she's like, oh, no, I don't want that. And I'm like, I do. So I get it that now you've come back and you're...
Well, I've not come back. I'm sort of in between.
In between. And he's probably thought, you know what? You know, I've done all this. So if he wants to come back, he can come back. He's my son, I love him, but he's getting charged.
Yeah. So GB News is showing this thing about Prince Harry lasting 5
minutes. They
hate
him, don't they?
Yeah.
Like, really obsessively. Like, they hate her as well.
It's like GB News, Talk TV and stuff like that.
Did he all hate Prince Andrew?
No, I hardly ever see Prince Andrew on.
Really?
Not as much as like Prince Harry.
Well, to be fair, what's Prince Andrew ever done to get any criticism?
That's true.
You know what I mean? That's it. And, you know, Prince Harry, come on.
I mean, you could talk about Prince Andrew and Mason Greenwood and the difference in opinion when charges got dropped.
Ah, yeah. Was one covered on there and one wasn't?
Well, I mean, across media, really, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
there wasn't. I didn't see. This is the thing with Prince Andrew. There seems to be this sort of clamour to rehabilitate him in certain sections of the media.
But he's done nothing wrong.
Did you see that picture in the Telegraph of him sat in a bath with the pictures of him on the face?
No.
I mean, you're looking at me like I'm having an episode. If this happened,
yeah.
Right, and I will get some of the comments. Loads of people commenting, so we'll get to it. I think the people who were like working for Ghislaine Maxwell or whatever, or whoever, had gone in their house and took like this picture of the bath where he's meant to have had sex with the whatever her name is, the girl who he paid all that money to. And they were saying the bath was too small for that to happen, which proves he didn't do it. But I'm not being funny, right? If you didn't do anything wrong, you don't pay someone 12 million quid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just say, no, I'm not doing that because you just made all this up. It's obvious what's gone on there. Do you know what I mean? Why else would you give them all that money and ruin your reputation if you've done nothing wrong?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
You'd want them not guilty.
Yeah. And now it's like, he's trying to have his cake and eat it, saying, well, I gave you that money, but I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And we'll get into some of the comments anyway. I want to talk about City before we move on. James Wood, Scotty and Motty, what's funnier, City getting relegated or the Scousing meltdown? Oof. I don't know. Do you know what? The Scousers were funny this weekend. Klopp's gone on one, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Did you see he dug out the wrong journalist?
Well, was it really? Because I seen him, he wouldn't answer one of the people's questions.
But the part of the guy he wouldn't answer to, James Pearce, who writes for The Athletic, and he's quite pro-Klopp. And from what I read, I think he thought it was someone else. Yeah. So he said, I'm not answering your question, get someone else to ask that question, answer it. And then later on, it's transpired that he got it mixed up.
Explains why the football's so bad if his eyesight can't.
Well, I was at Old Trafford on Saturday. Everyone kept giving us updates. Wolves 1-0, Wolves 2-0, Wolves 3-0. It was men. Erwin Peter says, Jay, you're interrupting my Paddock podcast watch. Literally been watching vids of you back to back after work, man. Sorry, brother. Appreciate your support, though. Don't forget to give us a like as well. Right, just on the City thing. And then I will get to some more comments because, you know, some of you commented and I want to speak to. Santa Notch, good to see you in there as well. Alex Buckingham, King Dino, Glenn F as well, all the usual suspects. City News broke today that they've got like, is it 100?
Yeah, I think rumours.
Yeah, there's the 100 alleged breaches of financial regulations following a 4-year investigation. So they've been doing a bit of work on this, haven't they?
But I think the 4 years is just down to the City lawyers, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Well, that's what I heard, is that they've dragged it out this long because...
Well, they're acting. City did a statement, didn't they?
That they were completely unaware this was coming.
Yeah.
Bollocks. There's no way on... I mean, it somewhat explains Pep's attitude and maybe Man City's form.
That's a good question, that, because I wanted to ask you it. Do you think he's on one a bit because he knows this is coming down the road?
Well, he basically, I mean, that picture says it all, doesn't it? He's put his nuts on the line May last year when he said that I've gone in when the allegations first came out, and it says I've asked the owners and they've said that there's no problem, and if they've lied to me, then I will be out. So that was like I'm paraphrasing there, but that was the gist of what he said. So I don't know. I don't think City will win the Champions League, and I think he's done all he can with that club, and I think he should go somewhere else.
Fair enough. I don't know, it's weird because maybe it's me being pessimistic. I've always thought eventually they'll win the Champions League. Right, I just did. I just thought they've won enough Premier Leagues. They've got enough money. They've got to a semi-final under Pellegrini. They got to a final under Pep. Sooner or later, it's just going to happen, innit? Well, then you look at him recently, you think, maybe it will happen sooner or later, but maybe that'll be later. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe it isn't going to happen this season. Because I actually thought when they got Ireland, it would.
If this off-the-field business has impacted how they're doing and Pep's head, then I can't see them winning any sort of Champions League this year. I really can't, no?
No, I mean, I watched them yesterday against Spurs, and they were poor. They were. It wasn't like... Spurs played well, but you look at City and you think, there was no sort of fluidity to the play. Haaland barely got a touch. I don't think he had one shot. Well, no, he didn't have one shot because I had a bet. And, you build an hacker or build a bet builder thing and you think Haaland one shot on target. Well, that's a banker, innit? I'll put that in. It didn't happen. Do you know what I mean? I don't think he had a shot off target, let alone on target, which, speaks volumes, doesn't it, for a team like City to not be able to get him any chances.
Do you think he could be considered a bad buy?
It's a very good question.
Because the goal's brilliant, but there's been teams in the past. I think Kevin Phillips won top scorer of the year for Sunderland, didn't win the league. Do you know what I mean? It's not always about one person scoring the goals.
No.
And because City are trying to put everything through him, and I don't think some of the players might not like that, or it might take them a while to adapt. So, was it worth the hype?
I think you have to judge it at the end of the season. I think so far, City as a team don't look as
cohesive, do they?
No, as they did last season.
No.
And I think you look at the players they lost. They've lost a few. We did a podcast before, and I think it was Steve was on it, and he said they've lost from the oh no, it might have been Joe that said it actually, from the team that played against, was it Villa on the last day of the season? Like, was in the starting 11 or finished the game. 5 of those players have left the club now. And I think the players were, I think Fernandinho might have played in that game, I'm not sure. But Zinchenko, Sterling, Jesus and Cancelo have all left. And you wonder, don't you, like, how many players can you lose from a team before it really affects you? Because United used to do it, turn over players, didn't we? Go, right, we'll get rid of a few and bring some through from the squad or whatever. And it kind of works. But then you do get to a point where it's one too many. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And like, I think if they lost Zinchenko and say Sterling, you probably go, no, that's not going to, especially when you're bringing in Haaland. And I think they brought Phillips in as well, didn't they, in the summer? But then when you lose Zinchenko, Sterling, Jesus, and now Cancelo, and Fernandinho, I know he's getting on a bit, but he still, played some games. Then you think, is that getting him up to a point where now they're not as effective as they were? Especially when you look at the weird thing for me with City, is the centre-back situation, because you look at it, City have had, over the last sort of 4 or 5 years, they tend to have one of the best centre-backs in the league. Ruben Diaz, a couple of years ago, last year, was phenomenal. Laporte's had very good spells for him. Stones has had good spells for him. Now they're at a place where I think Aki and Akanji are the 2 starting centre-backs.
And Aki was leaving in the summer.
Yeah, and they're all right, but are those title-winning centre-backs in as a pair?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Maybe you get rid of what you get, and also you've got a youngster, Rico Lewis, who's a good youngster. I'm not having a dig, even though you're a United fan. I don't like having a dig at youngsters. And he's doing very well, so I'm not. But you've got a youngster who's in his first season properly, and then you've got Kyle Walker who's getting on a bit. It's a bit of an odd back four, like, in it.
And there's a lot of rumblings behind the scenes about not being happy with the amount of times that Pep rotates.
Yeah, because there was a really good article by Sam Lee in The Athletic, and he was saying about how Cancelo got fed up of that. Like, he came back from the World Cup and he had a bit of a cob on anyway, because he'd been dropped for Portugal in the knockout stages, so he didn't play in the last 16 or the quarters. And he comes back, and then he's not getting in the City team. Well, like, Pep was pretty much drops everyone, didn't he, from the World Cup, and he's bringing them back in slowly. But even after that, he still wasn't getting in the team. I know he played against us in the derby, but he wasn't a regular anymore. And apparently, he kicks off a bit.
It seems like he overcomplicates things, and I know that everyone says that when it gets to the semi-final or the final of the Champions League, where he tinkers too much. And it just does seem like, especially trying to solve this Haaland conundrum that he bought in the summer, and long may it last until their demise.
Yeah, because it's weird, because he sort of went against what they usually do. He doesn't usually go out and get out-and-out strikers very often.
Well, they were after Kane, weren't they, the previous season? But I think Kane is a better all-round player than Haaland. Haaland's a machine, a goal scorer, phenomenal, and I'd be an idiot to take that away from him. Kane drops deep and brings other players into the game. Do you know what I mean? Kane does a hell of a lot more off the ball than I think Haaland does. So that's why he contributes, and it might have been more beneficial to that Man City team and hopefully to Manchester United in the summer when he signs.
It reminds me a little bit of when United in 2001, we finished top again, 3rd season in a row, got Rude and Veron. Finished 3rd.
Yeah.
And everyone, I remember thinking we're going to win every game when we brought them to.
Because Rude came a year later, didn't it, because of the knee injury?
Yeah.
And then because we'd been seeing the goals he'd been banging in the Dutch league, and I'd been a huge fan of Veron, and it just didn't. Obviously, Rude went on and was great, but he only ever won 1 league title, didn't he, Rude?
He won it in 2003. So 2001, we finished 1st, and I think we had the league wrapped up by something like, we had it wrapped up by April. And then we lost our last 3 games because Fergie just played all the kids. Yeah. And then sort of you go into the next season after all that, and you just having a look now, see who sort of came in and what happened. Well, we finished 3rd. And then, you had Rude come in, Roy Carroll, but obviously the big one, Veron. So you got Rude and Veron, Forlan and Laurent Blanc as well. So it wasn't a bad window, You got some quality there. And you're looking at it thinking, well, we've just won 3 in a row. We've added to the squad, probably stronger than we are. I know we lost Jaap Stam during the season. But finished 3rd, and semi-finals of Champions League is all right. League Cup 3rd round, FA Cup 4th round.
And I don't think you should underplay the significance of people's personalities in the changing room, and I think that's what Ten Hag's been brilliant at this season with bringing in the players. I think it's as much about personality and what they're going to be like. Because I think we've suffered from that as well with egos and stuff.
Yeah.
So we don't know what that's like behind the doors at Man City. You're saying there, like people like Cancelo. You don't know if Sterling and Jesus and Zinchenko. Because Zinchenko was a proper Man City fan, wasn't he? He's like, and Sterling, they love the club.
Yeah.
So for them to go, I don't know. I know there was rumours that Bernardo Silva was leaving in the summer.
Yeah, well, Barcelona apparently are mad keen for him. They wanted him, I think, because it's just I can't get my head around what goes on financially with Barcelona, and you've got players leaving and having to take pay cuts. You've got players wanting to leave and then not being paid to then stay in. It's just it seems as just an absolute mess. But Bernardo Silva, apparently they wanted him and he wanted to go, but City weren't willing to let him go unless there was a fee involved, obviously, which you'd expect for a quality player like that. And Barca couldn't make that happen. That's what I believe. I might be slightly wrong.
Do you think this will result in anything, or will it end up like the UEFA one where they got, they got a transfer, they weren't allowed to buy any new players, and they got a £30 million fine initially, wasn't it? And then that got reduced to no transfer ban, and they got a £10 million fine. Are the Premier League gonna have the resolve to maybe do? If you look at what's happened with Juventus in Serie A,
it's all happening now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing, and if you are interested in this and you want to find, what's going on and someone who's on the ball with it, is Martin Ziegler from the, I think it's from the Times. He was doing tweets on it today. I think he kind of broke it.
He broke the news, didn't he?
And one of his tweets said, this is 7 hours ago, Man City latest, under Premier League rules, the club will not be able to appeal any sanction to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, which overturned the UEFA ban. So they went to CAS, as it's called, and that's how they got the ban overturned. But they can't do that this time.
But the thing is, do you know how and one of the reasons they got it overturned is because there's a cut-off date, so you can't commit, break financial fair play rules. Like 5 years ago, if you did it in the 6th year, then you're all right. That doesn't exist in the Premier League, so they haven't got that get-out clause. Right. So obviously UEFA had something on them.
Yeah.
And it looks like the Premier League haven't been messing around, and this is going on back over 9 years. So give Jose Mourinho and Solskjaer the titles, man.
Mate, imagine that. I mean, it's not going to happen, is it? But just imagine. Imagine if they went, actually, right.
But what happens that they get a transfer ban for 2 seasons or for a season
points,
or whatever?
Maybe, maybe,
points. Yeah. Like, does Pep stay then? Does he want to? Do you attract players if you're starting on minus 10 points or something?
The thing is, they could
got to set a precedence, haven't they? Especially with the stuff that's happening with Chelsea as well at the moment.
Yeah, I feel like because every club to their fans is worth as much as any other club. Now you look at Derby, we were talking about this before. Derby broke rules, didn't they? And then they got a massive points deduction, and when Rooney was there. Yeah. And like they could have gone under. I know they didn't, but they were like close to administration, and sometimes you get these points deductions and relegation and stuff like that. Your club could be, it can sort of leave you on the brink of not existing.
Yeah, but you make a good point. If how quicker is the Football League to dock points against clubs that are in administration, that are in debt? Happens all the time, right? So how is that fair? And these apparently have got 100 sort of allegations against them, different examples of. Did you hear the one about apparently there was a manager who was there for 4 years. So I'm trying to work out who that might be. Mancini, maybe, I guess, that was getting paid off the books to try and bunch the numbers.
Yeah, I think Joe mentioned this in the Paddock podcast.
So he was getting paid 20 quid a week, and then he was just getting the rest in like brown notes.
What is that? Envelope. That is, it's.
I like it as a story, but it shouldn't be happening in real life.
There was the betting company as well that didn't exist 2 months ago, whatever it was, that was sponsoring him. And it's like when you look on the website, it's new and there's no people that were there. It's all very, very dodgy. I'll get into some of the comments and then we'll see what you guys think. David Pritt says, "Can you talk about Shaw Tyre?" Now, have you heard of Shoulder Shaw Tyre?
He's gone to
Shaw
Tyre.
Tyre. Yeah. Now, me and Dave used to do the Academy review, and we used to talk about Shoulder Shaw Tyre, and everyone used to be in the comments telling us, "You're pronouncing it wrong. It's Shaw Tyre." And we had some guy that knows, one of our producers knows someone at MUTV, and he got in touch and he said, "Look, I've interviewed him. I know him. It's Shaw Tyre." Shoulder Shaw Tyre's done a video today where he literally is at Bolton. He says, "Hi guys, it's Shoulder Shaw Tyre here. I'm at Bolton looking forward to the season," or whatever. Right? So it's like, so surely he knows how to pronounce his own name. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Unless he's doing it in a Bolton accent.
Unless he's doing a Sol Campbell. Do you remember Sol Campbell got his birthday wrong? His age wrong. Do you remember that?
Won't be the first Premier League player.
No, it's so funny. That's one of my favourite videos where he did a video going like, everyone's wishing me happy birthday, saying I'm 33. I'm not, guy.
I'll tell you, talk about football interview videos. Did you see Duncan Ferguson the other week with the vegan?
No, what was this?
Oh, I can't remember what ground it was. What? Sorry, Forest Green.
Forest Green. Thank you, producer James.
So Forest Green are doing like this whole initiative about climate change and stuff, and everything that's in the ground is like trying to keep green energy and stuff, and all the food's vegan. And then it goes, I've not had anything vegan food before. He goes, I'll be tucking into the burger as well. And then we got chips, and he goes, you got vegan chips? That was a Geordie accent, but yeah, I think surprised sounds better in Geordie. Vegan chips.
Vegan chips.
Vegan chips.
Yeah. Well, who was that? Sorry. Duncan Ferguson.
Yeah,
with a Geordie accent.
Yeah, don't get that on any other podcast.
You don't, that's true. 100%, he's telling the truth there. King Dino says, by the way, like this video. This is Jay's 3rd live stream today and 4th video and all. Well, nice one, King Dino. Good to see someone's...
Has Laura got a burner account?
Look, right, my missus never knows when I'm live because she'll message me when I'm live.
Yeah.
And then I'll say I'm live and she'll go, oh yeah, I forget. And I think... We do like live videos at 4 o'clock every day.
I feel for your kids if you've both got bleeding Dory memory. I forget, she forgets. Who's picking the kids up today?
What kids? Oh, yeah. I wonder why it was quiet in here. Glenn F says, shit, what am I suspected of now? Whatever it is, I'm innocent, Jay. Yeah, he's one of the usual suspects. Always good to see him in the chat. O'Hanlon86 says, Scotty, Pep has no scruples. Remember the Nandrolone. Kev Hughes says Pep is tinkering with the formation to try and fit Haaland in, but it's not really working yet. Big yet. Capitalise yet. Solo, good to see him from the United Agenda, says that's City finished for the season. No league or Champions League. Right, he's gone early. Andy Rayner says, Jay sounds like one of your kids is my youngest age. He takes 2 minutes to have a shit through the day, but 45 minutes just before bed. Any tip on speeding that up?
Squeeze. I took one of my kids to the park before, and
sorry, I haven't got any tips.
Got caught short, so then like in the bushes every single time. Can you not just go after school?
Yeah, mate. Kids are my lad's like he's a nightmare for stuff like that. Paul Jones says Haaland is City's Ronaldo. I think is John Shin in the chat as well. Yeah, there he is. Good to see John Shin in the chat. Pep fell apart, says Peckett, as soon as a more elite bald manager arrived, didn't he? TWCC says, where is the 007 Gakpo story on Sky Sports? That was a reference to Sancho when they did a story on 007 because he'd not got, I think this is when he first arrived at United. He didn't get any assists or goals in his first 7 games. And he had a bit of a dig at him about that, but now it's like, oh well, he's been struggling, so people are trying to be a bit more supportive, and then going back and looking at stuff that went on before.
Yeah. Well, we all know the narrative. We say it nearly every week on the show that Liverpool players or any of the team's players don't get the sort of hatred or bias against them as United players do.
They don't, do they? It's just think that's just clicks.
Yeah.
So it's clicks in it. Because some of the things you see now are just ridiculous.
Jamie Carragher had a perfect example this week to backtrack on what he said about Martinez after he has a big rant about centre-backs and how easy it is to play. But doing it on your own and being a leader, Martinez has been easily the best centre-back in the country this year. Easily.
Yeah. It's like...
if I make a mistake on here, like, I'll go like, I fucked up.
Yeah, but we often do.
Yeah.
But it was like... It's weird because I think it was Joe or someone was making a point the other day. You could have just gone on, when you talk about Martinez, you could have said, seen him, he looks good player. Don't know if he'll fit into play me, he might struggle a little bit, but let's wait and see. People respect that.
Yeah.
Or you could have even gone, he might have a chance here. Do you know what I mean? Good player, new manager. And if you get that wrong, no one's going to be overly bothered. And if you're right, people go, okay, yeah, you gave him a chance and you point out. But so after 2 games go, he ain't going to play at work.
No.
And what made me laugh about that was, the Brighton game, Martinez did all right. Wasn't at fault for the goals. Had a good game, I thought. I think him and Eriksen were our 2 best players. Wasn't amazing, but it wasn't a game where you go, he's a duffer. Brentford, we had a horror show, didn't we, for 45 minutes.
If he wasn't alone.
No. And also, the goal that everyone blamed before the Ben Mee goal, he fell over, which if you fall over, it's not your fault. And it's like, you're basing it basically off that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was like, if you'd have just waited, I think, a week, he wouldn't have said that, because for the Liverpool game, he was fantastic. He really was. Do you know what I mean? And you're like, oh, this guy's something's going on here. And then was it Southampton or Leicester after that? And then the games kept, he kept racking up these performances. And also the way he got the crowd going, the way he marshalled the defence, everything about him, the way he could pick a pass out. There's a real player here, and it just looks more and more foolish.
Well, I think that perversely, the media being against United and saying all these players have been flops is just fueling United to carry on and keep playing.
Yeah.
Because it would me.
Yeah, do you think that? Because Fergie was quite good at that, of rallying the troops.
Everyone against us.
Yeah, everyone hates us. So we're going to show him, we're going to prove him wrong. I mean, you look at the perfect example is 98. Beckham, there's dartboards on the back of the paper and burning effigies and all that nonsense, and it's like, everyone hates him. And yeah, David Beckham's season 98 to 99 is one of the best seasons I've ever seen anyone have.
Yeah, many feel he was robbed for the Ballon d'Or that year.
Yeah,
Rivaldo, wasn't it?
Yeah, Rivaldo. And I didn't even get out of the group, did they, in the Champions League, Barcelona?
Great games, went to both.
Yeah, did you? Yeah, nice one, man. That's sick. I was gutted when we drew at Old Trafford.
What goals though?
Yeah, they were mint goals. You just felt a bit, when you're leaving, you're like, oh man. Yeah. But yeah, no, it was such a great season that, and to do it the way we did it was unreal. And Beckham was fantastic, and Fergie was like, look, everyone's having a dig at us, everyone hates us, the media hates us, whatever. Fergie was very good at making players feel like he had the back. Do you know what I mean? Like being horrible to the press.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Not having any of it, certainly publicly, against his players. I think he was one of the best there's ever been at that in particular. And just before we move on from Pep, I don't want to keep making about it, but it's a bit weird that sometimes you've seen Pep sort of having these little digs as well. Like he basically said Calvin Phillips was fat, didn't he, the other week?
Yeah.
Like, little things like that.
And then having popped, like I think it's the second or third time he's had a pop at the fan base.
Yeah.
Well. Maybe like they're spoiled now because they've won it a few times.
And it's like, it happens. I remember Fergie saying you wanted to see a better atmosphere at Old Trafford, but when you take all this into account, it's all happening. You think something's going on here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If it was one or two things, you think, okay, maybe that's just...
Who would walk first, Pep or Klopp?
Good question, that. Get involved in the chat in the comments.
Who would you want to go first?
I'd want Pep to go first.
Yeah.
The thing is, right...
I want Klopp to carry on doing what he's doing now.
My ideal scenario is Klopp goes through to the end of the season. And I know this probably won't happen, but never sort of underestimate how deluded Liverpool can be. And Gerrard takes over. That would be my ideal scenario, because I think that it just wouldn't work at all. But they love him, don't they? I think with Guardiola, the thing to remember as well is, whilst if this all pops off and they get a massive points deduction and fines and they can't make transfers, then it's different. But they've had success before he got there. Like Pellegrini won a title, didn't he?
Yeah.
Mancini won a title. They've got a decent structure there.
Yeah.
Probably by nefarious means, but there's a structure in place. Now, Pep obviously has got record points and he's done, won all the domestic trophies and stuff. So I'm not saying he's not a gifted manager. Of course he is, unfortunately. But they could still lose him and have success because they've done it in the past. And I don't think Manuel Pellegrini's a genius, but he won the title with him, didn't he? Do you know what I mean? Because the setup was sort of
I think having the Man City job with all that wealth, if spent legally, is harder to mess up than it is to be successful. And do you know what I mean? I respect to Pep and everything he's done at Barca and Bayern and stuff, but I think it's harder to turn that into a car crash than it is to be successful. It's just you've got too much talent at your disposal.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And also, when Pep got there, they bought Sterling in beforehand. They bought De Bruyne in beforehand, knowing that Pep was coming and those players would suit him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So he inherited him, but there were players that, like, we know Pellegrini's going, we know Guardiola's coming in. These players are going to work for you. He still had the likes of Silva, the likes of Company, still had a tune left in him, Aguero, of course. So he still had a good, sort of solid foundation there, didn't he?
Yeah.
And also it helps him that some of his rivals were just imploding at the time. Was going for all sorts of shenanigans, weren't they?
He couldn't have come at a better time for him to play against United, really.
Yeah, I mean, United, it was like that first season, obviously got a couple of trophies, and then second season just didn't quite happen, did it? Yeah. Lambert says, Leeds should go for the Reims boss. What did you make of that? Leeds sacking Jesse Marsh. Are you bothered? Because we've got them twice. Some people are going, they'll get a new manager.
Have you seen our results against Leeds over the last sort of two seasons? Yeah, it's really good.
It's so good.
I just can't, I'm not faithful about the Jesse Marsh sacking.
No, I mean I'm not. No. People say new manager bounce. I just don't see it in that team.
I'm not even nervous about Casemiro missing 3 games. I'll go out there again. I think Manchester United still got a chance of winning the league.
He's gone there. 21 is coming. 100% definite. That's what he's just said.
Seriously,
go on.
Man City, 3 points above us, and they're still considered titles contenders.
That's exactly what I said yesterday.
Why are Manchester?
Well, didn't I ask the question?
Why aren't Manchester United?
Where do you think United will finish?
Top.
Fair enough.
Arsenal got beat by Everton at the weekend.
Yeah.
Right. So you just expect other teams of Everton's ilk to set up like them against Arsenal.
Yeah.
City are obviously imploding. United can keep the consistent form. I'd do one with the Europa League against Barcelona. I'd bring Shola Thierry, or whatever his name is, back from
That's nice. And he sent him there last week.
It's only down the road. Depending on the traffic from down the M.
Buzzing.
Down the M6.
Hey, that lad we've just loaned you, we're having him back now.
20 minutes down the M61. You can go back.
I don't think that's going to be an issue.
No, but what I mean is, and then just play all the kids and stuff, and then just concentrate on it. I believe in Ten Hag, and this is the most optimistic I've been post Ferguson for. Well, I did like Jose Mourinho, but I knew it was going to come to the fiery end that it did. I wonder what he's doing today, sat back in Roma watching all this unfold. Because he said, he made a lot of sly digs about if I had the sort of resources that Pep had, I'm pretty sure I'd do a good job. And he got second against Pep's team with Phil Jones and Co. Which was his greatest ever achievement.
That's what he said, didn't he? Because good vibes. John says it's so easy to beat Chris Armas. Just get a couple of iPhones near him and flood the Bluetooth connection. The battery drains and he's done for. Yeah, do you remember Chris Armas when he was at United? Apparently, was he connected to the guy at Lokomotiv Moscow, who was helping him with tactics, watching it on a laptop. Apparently,
where do we live?
I know
the world is a strange place.
It is. We're gonna wrap it up there.
Wait,
go on.
We were talking about virginities and stuff.
All right, sorry, we're not going to wrap it up there.
Do you remember your first time?
Yeah.
Was it anywhere close to 5 minutes? She's not going to do it. You can't backdate hate. You wasn't with her then. Laura, I'm asking if it's live on a podcast. You can't have a go at him from this.
I think if you added up together the first 7 times or whatever, it would amount to 5.
That's what I mean.
I'm sort of wondering what's going on here. Why is this guy getting stick for lasting 5 minutes at his first time? I think that's, perfectly
in his
reasonable.
First year,
do you know what I mean? What's going on? What about yourself?
Mine was. I remember it well. She probably doesn't. Set the scene and all this. I lost it to Mary J. Blige. No, didn't lose.
But I was about to say that's an exclusive I wouldn't expect.
They put like a Mary.
Kept that quiet for the last 20 years.
Mary J. Blige album on. Honestly, I thought you were proper romantic.
You are Mr. Lover, you aren't you, eh? There's the candles and all that. Put a bit of Mary J on.
I checked before we came in. It didn't get past the intro, and the intro was 1 minute 40. To be fair, I had a bus to catch.
I love you able to time it. 1 minute 40. Do you know what? I think that's perfectly acceptable. Honestly, that's nothing to be ashamed of. There,
I'm not ashamed of it.
No, you're not. I'm just saying,
I've gone into double digits now.
Nah, that's impressive. I won't ask the people watching to tell us theirs, but we can, if you do all.
Yeah, I tell you what, like and subscribe is what you can do. And then drop in your comments about how long your first time was. And no bullshit. James, how long were you?
About 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
No, to be fair.
10 minutes? Well, all in? I'm talking like just the penetration style.
Yeah, because it was down an alleyway, so it wasn't...
Down an alleyway. Romance, eh? Romance
down an alley?
Yeah, in Newcastle.
Down an alley in Newcastle, absolutely. To say romance and chivalry is dead.
Yeah,
well, it's not. It's live and thriving. We've also got a Patreon as well. There's a link in the chat. If you go and subscribe to Patreon, you get extra videos. We're going to be doing an extra video, aren't we?
Yeah. And I did an article last week about the pundits and stuff. Well, a lot of them have got egg on their face. Brought a bit of psychology into it as well.
You know what I mean?
I'm not as thick as I look.
You're not higher, which is a relief.
I know.
So yeah, go and check out that. There's a link in the chat. Thanks to everyone who got involved. Thanks for your support as well. We love having a chat with you. Also, we're going to be chatting with someone soon who works in a rehab centre. So we're going to be talking about addiction, recovery, and all that sort of stuff, which is right up our street as well. So look out for that one. That's going to be, I think, on the main channel next week. So yeah. Big thanks to everyone who got involved. Big thanks to James Young, producer extraordinaire.
Yeah.
Big thanks to you, my friend, as well,
man,
for sharing your 1 minute 7 seconds exploits.
Well,
which is
I
impressive.
said it was less than 1 minute 42. I'm not too sure.
Oh right, sorry, I don't know where I've got 1 minute 7 seconds.
It
For. I
was
was made
between.
up.
It might be that. You might be being generous there.
Right. Well, certainly better than mine. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there anyway. This has been Scotty and Motty. Thanks for watching.